Okay, so welcome back to UFOs Above Us. All right, today I thought I'd do something a little different, and instead of putting a lot of time into capturing images from the videos I shoot of the moon, I would just share real time a moon video that I shot this weekend. Again, these are pretty good viewing conditions. I would call this about an 8 or 8.5 out of 10 as far as clarity of the viewing. And so I think you're going to see quite a few objects, at least I did. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and start it. And I'm just going to stream this real time with you. As we go through, we're going to see a lot of stuff. And I'll point out what I see. And I would encourage y'all, if you enjoy this kind of content, let me know. And I can do more of these because these are very easy for me to make compared to investing hours and hours capturing screenshots from video footage. So these are simple. All right, let's get busy because it'll start moving here. There's some objects to look at right there. Again, I'm not sure what those are, and there's one right in the center of that quote-unquote crater. Looks like something sitting on top of that platform right there, and you'll see another one of those in a minute. So as we kind of do our video tour of the moon, there's a lot of structure right there. Look right there on that end of that crater. Wow, all kinds of things. So going to keep moving along, and we're going to go pretty quickly here. Here's the next crater. Look how oblong this is. That's pretty interesting, isn't it, to see such a oblong crater like that. So I'm not sure how a meteor strike could do that, but I see a lot of interesting symbols right there. Do you see those? Several of them. And then, everywhere I look on this video, we see a lot of interesting structures. And the question I'd want to ask everybody is, we're kind of just looking through these together. Does this really look naturally occurring to you? Look at this right here, for example. Does that look naturally occurring to you? Look at that giant horseshoe sticking up right there. Is that a cave? Almost looks like if you've ever seen those kind of metal buildings for garages that they make, prefab. Kind of reminds me of one of those. So what is that? I don't know, but it's interesting. Look up here at the top. And I also want to point out, don't forget to look at the shadows. This one right here caught my attention. You don't see anything really up here, but look at this massive peak right here. So you have to wonder, what was that? I do need to back up 1 second so you can see something right here. I didn't have time to look at it. Look at the UFO right there. Perfect delta wing UFO hiding in that crater right there. You see that? And don't forget to look over here too. I don't want to manipulate too much when I'm pointing, but if you look over here in the far right, there's another V-shaped. Right there's a V-shape. So there's a lot of them in here, and I'd encourage you, if you're really curious in hunting for UFOs, there's a lot in here. Stop the video, do your own searching, kind of screenshot it if you want to. There's another delta wing right there. Look at that, with kind of a color change to make it look like it's just part of the crater. Here was another interesting item that I saw right there. And then look at all this stuff. This crater fascinates me because how could that be a meteor strike when it's got such a unique form with these openings right here? That looks more like a walled, citadel or something rather than a meteor. And look at that, something sticking up right there. So that's interesting. There's another U right there, if you can see that. That might be a little harder to see. Some more V-shaped objects right here. That one has kind of a tower sticking up off of it, looks like. More symbols right here. See the symbols there? So again, there's just a wealth of objects here to look at, and kind of reminds me of Stonehenge right there. Look at all those. So there's a lot of things that we could talk about, a lot of things. I could spend an hour looking at all the objects here, but again, even though my focus right now is that series on the Grand Canyon, I don't want to ignore the moon because it's my bread and butter, and it's probably the thing that fascinates me more than anything else. So I spend a lot of time on my own doing this, and I felt like I should at least try to share it with the audience that I do have. I'm going to pause it right there. Isn't that a fascinating crater, quote unquote crater? Look at that. How would a meteor do that? So I don't know what that is, but I find it very difficult to believe that that's a meteor strike. Now, what is it? I don't know. One of the theories I've kind of come up with, these extended walls on these craters, they're always in a position where they'd catch the sun. I wonder if they're not solar or maybe geothermal gathering devices, because we've already seen, even from NASA, they've admitted that the climate down here in the base of some of these craters is livable. And it would not surprise me at all. In fact, I've seen great evidence that there's actually structures hidden in the shadows of these craters. So I'm going to turn it back on so we don't go too late with this. But that was an interesting crater to me. Yeah, look at all this stuff right here. Isn't that interesting? So now it's getting a little darker here, and it'll adjust as we move on. It's just as kind of getting outside of the lit area of the moon, just so we could see what's here. And I don't see anything earth-shattering in this part, so we zoom right through it. But again, this is raw footage. This is exactly what I do when I take my telescope out and want to do some moon viewing. There, now there's an interesting one right there. And if you notice these white kind of glowing areas, they all have, I guess I have to, yeah, there's one. See how they have these peaks coming off of them? I wonder what those all are. See that peak right there? And if you notice, all those little glowing areas will have really strong peaks. Look at this one, for example. Look how big the peak is coming off of that one. I wonder if these aren't buildings, structures, maybe for habitation on the moon. Again, I don't, oh, look at this right here. Isn't that interesting right there? So there's no shortage of objects. Now this is one right here that I'm not crazy about, to be honest. If you study it on your own, don't put a comment that we wouldn't want everybody to see here, if you catch my drift. But I'm not crazy about that one object there. So we're moving on by it. If you want to look at it, freeze the frame and go look at it to your heart's content. But if you're going to comment about it, keep it clean. All right. So kind of to a low objects area of the moon. So I'm just going to zoom it right back up, and we'll get on the margin of the moon, and there'll be a lot more structure. And here it comes as we speak. So we'll start looking at this. This is the first object that caught my attention. And again, I talked to you about these white globes. Look at the peaks they shine that they're projecting. Isn't that interesting? So I don't know. Oh, here's something I don't want you to miss. If you project this right here out on the other side, what would that look like to you? Now it's hidden by those structures, but I suspect that that was a UFO craft as well. Again, lots more symbols right here. That's kind of interesting. I'm not sure what that is, but it's interesting to me. Look at that one up here. Now, obviously, if I were to rotate this 90 degrees to the left, you would see this a lot better. But I'm doing this raw, so you kind of have to tilt your head or just visualize in your mind what this would look like if it were rotated 90 degrees. And we're kind of looking at the edge of the moon here. But look at all these massive structures. Isn't that interesting right there? And I did spend some time studying that one while I was outside. I'm going to pause it there so you can see it. See if I can catch a clear frame. Boy, there's just a lot of stuff there. So I don't want this to go long. We're going to turn it back on. We're at 7 minutes 50 seconds already. I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes. But I hope you're enjoying this content. Let me know. This is the first time I've tried this, just doing raw video footage and kind of viewing it together and narrating as we go. So if you think this is a worthwhile way to look at the moon with me, let me know and I'll do more of these. They're very easy. This doesn't take me a fraction of the time the other ones do. So if you feel like they're worthwhile, I can do more. And if you don't, let me know that too. If you say, hey, I like the other way better, let me know. I'll do those. It's just I don't have time to do those every week because it takes me several hours to put one together, whereas this takes me basically no time at all. Turn on the microphone setup and go. So we're wrapping up. I'm going to go ahead and pause it here and finish by saying this is Matt at UFOs Above Us. And as I always say to wrap up my videos, keep watching the skies. The answers we're all seeking really are up there.